This is where we're going to be practicing doing measurement conversions. So, as usual, I'm going to try to teach you the easiest way possible. I think somewhere in my stack of stuff, I have a sheet. I don't think I gave it to you yet. I think I have a sheet that has, if I gave it to you, let me know, and I won't dig for it. I think there's a sheet that has some measurements on it. It has like my anchor chart right there, because that can be a little bit hard to read if you're in the back of the room. So here's an example of what they did. Going from half a yard to feet. So what they did, and I'll go ahead and work the example to show you what they did. They're starting from half a yard, and they want to know how many feet is that. So I'm going from a yard to feet. So what I'm doing is, and they're doing it a little bit different than how I'm going to show you, because what they're doing is they're putting a little bit extra bit. They're going from 1 yard equals 3 feet. They're just showing a little extra number with 1 yard. They're like breaking it apart. So we've got 1/2 right here. 1 yard. What does 1 yard equal?
3 feet.
3 feet. So you can draw a little arrow. You can do it this way. 3 feet. When they're both on the same side of the equal sign, you multiply. When they're both over here, you multiply. So it's 1/2 times 3. So I'm going to do my little smoosh math. 1 times 3 over 2. So then you get 3 over 2. Well, that's improper. I'm not going to leave it improper. So 2 into 3. 2 goes into 3 once. 1 times 2 is 2. Left with 1. So it's 1 1/2 feet. So if you have a half of a yard, you get 1 1/2 feet. So if you needed some kind of a visual, then I know that if I have 1 yard, that 1 yard is equal to 3 feet. Okay? So you don't have to draw this, I'm just showing you. So if I had a half of a yard, I would take that yard and just go and split it in half. Well, if I split that yard in half, this would be 1 foot and 1/2 of a foot. So it works out. It's 1 1/2 of a foot. So visually, it works out. This is the math way. This is showing my answer. Okay, you have to be able to do the work. I mean, you can't just draw a picture and go, see? Okay, please do the work. So 1/3 of a foot is how many inches? So they did 1/3 of a foot, length, inches. So I'm going from feet to inches. 1 foot is what? 12 inches. They're both on the same side of the equal sign, so I'm going to multiply. So 1 times 12 over 3. So then you get 1 times 12? 12 over 3. So then it's 12 divided by 3. 4 inches. So here they're showing it with a tape diagram where you've got a whole foot. And see, I wouldn't have shown it this way. I mean, they're showing this, but I'm going to show it down here. where if I have a whole foot, 1 foot, and it's made up of 12 inches. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. That's not very pretty, but it's there. And I've got 1/3. So if I need to split that into thirds, so 12 with 1/3, that's 12 divided by 3. So if I do thirds, that would mean a third here, a third there, and a third there, splitting it into thirds. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 there, 4 there, 4 there. It's not very easy to do it this way. That's why I don't normally do it. You need to know how to do a conversion. This is something you will do again in high school. I remember doing this in high school. I once had to figure out how many teaspoons made a gallon. It's like going from gallons to like pints to quarts to cups, from cups to tablespoons, from tablespoons to teaspoons. You can do it. It's possible.
What do you mean when you say they're both on the same side of the equal sign?
See the equal sign? My conversion is over here. That's going from a big unit to a small unit, because sometimes you'll have to divide. We'll probably run into one. When I show it, when you see it, just bear with me, okay? If we see it, we'll see it. There might be one where my converting is over here on this side. Just, if we see it, you'll go, oh, I see what you mean. Okay? Just bear with me. Like, because I don't see one that's changing over here yet. So if I'm going from 4 inches is equal to how many feet? I'm going from, don't do this, don't write this down. I'm going from feet is 12 inches. So I've got a number over here and I've got a number over here. So they're on opposite sides. So I'm going to have to divide. So I have to do a different step. So when I'm going from a small unit to a big unit, I divide. It's not as hard as it looks, I swear. But we just haven't done it yet. Okay. 5/6 of a year into months. So if I have 5/6 of a year, what do I know about years and months? So a year is 12 months. They're both on the same side of the equal sign, so I multiply. So see if you can figure that out. All right, so you can do 5 times 12 over 6. One of the strategies we did yesterday. You could do 6 into 12, just to make it smaller. You don't have to do this, but you can. 6 goes into 6 once. 6 goes into 12 2 times. 5 times 2 is 10. If you left it alone, okay, it's fine, you could leave it because you were fine the way you were. Because the 5 times 12 over 6, 5 times 12 was 60, you were fine. And 60 over 6 was 10. Remember I said you can do it, you don't have to. As long as you got 10 months. Did you get 10? Were you wrong? No, this was just one strategy. There's more than one way to do the math. As long as you show your work and you get the right answer. Okay, 4/5 of a meter equals how many centimeters? 1 meter equals how many centimeters?
1,000.
Cent means what? 100. 100. 100. Kilo means 1,000. Milli means 1,000. You were looking at it all. So 4 times 100 over 5. You can either go ahead and work it across, or you can simplify. Want to do the bar model? Yesterday,
Not today.
I. You solve it how you want to solve it. Just show me your work. Okay? Okay. So 5 into 5 goes once. 5 into 100 is 20. 4 times 20 is 80. Or, Faith, you don't have to do it this way. You can do 4 times 100. So if you're starting to figure out the simplifying, that's fine. If not, just divide 5 into 400. And you would still get 80. Daniel, are you working or are you playing with the fruit roll-up? Because I'm not going to spend a year on 4 problems.
Tomorrow on the test, what if you don't know, like, how many, like, years?
But I think I have a set of conversion sheets. I thought I had given them to you, but I think they're in my pocket. 2/3 of an hour equals blank minutes. What do we know about hours and minutes? What do we know?
There's 60 minutes an hour.
1 hour is 60 minutes. So 2/3 times 60. So smush them together. Two times 60, so then we can do 3 is 1, goes into this 20, so then you have 40. You should have got 40. 3/4 of a yard equals so many inches. 1 yard is how many inches?
36.
36. I'm glad you didn't say 3. Because people do that, they'll say 3. But a yard is 3 feet. But you're going to inches. Inches. 36 inches because it's 3 feet. 36 inches. So 3/4 times 36.
Oh, wait. No, you haven't.
So then 3 times 36 over 4. Okay, so 4 goes into 36. 9 times, 3 times 9 is 27. 27 inches.
I agree.
Dante, are you writing this stuff down or are you busy eating Pringles? Snack is one thing, but you can work and eat. You should be working. I mean, I let y'all have your snack 25 minutes ago. Doesn't take that long to eat stuff. Mrs. Lang told her class that the class's pet hamster is 1/4. You shouldn't have any quarters out. 1/4 of a foot in length. How long is the hamster in inches? A foot is 12 inches. 1/4 times 12. 1 times 12 over 4. You just do 1 times 12 over 4, and you get 12 over 4. You can't leave that. It's improper. 12 divided by 4 is 3. You can't leave it. You have to finish it. It has to be a number when you're done. Answer it, change it, finish it. Okay, this is a multi-step thing. So if you end up kind of messing up on one part, then it might end up affecting the rest of your answers. At the market, Mr. Paul bought 7/8 pounds of cashews and 3/4 pounds of walnuts. How many ounces of cashews did Mr. Paul buy? So if he bought 7/8 of a pound, how many ounces is that? So if it's 7/8 of a pound, and we want to know how many ounces is that. So if you have a pound, do I not have that up there? So we need to add that. So if you have a pound, 1 pound equals 16 ounces. That's not on my chart, but you need to know that. 1 pound equals 16 ounces. So if 1 pound is 16 ounces, and he had 7/8 of a pound, 7 times 16 over 8. I really don't want to multiply 7 times 16 and divide that by 8. I can, I don't want to. 8 goes into 8 once. 8 goes into 16 twice. 7 times 2, 14. That's 14 ounces of cashews. How many ounces of walnuts did he buy? Well, I know he bought 3/4 of a pound. And we want to know how many ounces that is. Will we solve it the same way? Yes. Okay, so 1 pound is 16 ounces. 3 times 16 over 4. 4 goes into 4 once. 4 goes into 16 4 times. 3 times 4 is 12. 12 ounces. You get it now, Faith? Awesome. How many more ounces of cashews than walnuts did Mr. Paul buy? 14 ounces of cashews minus 12 ounces of walnuts. 14 minus 12. 2 more ounces. Now, see, if you end up getting either one of these wrong, it's going to end up making this wrong. Do what? How did we get, guys, shh. How did I get 12? Because he got 3/4 of a pound of walnuts. It tells me right here. Of walnuts, okay, you see that? 1 pound is 16 ounces. You see that? Well, when I have 3 times 16 over 4, you with me? I can do 4 into 16 to make that smaller. Do you know how I do that simplified? Go up. 4 can go into 4 once. 4 can go into 16 4 times. 3 times 4 is 12. Okay? Or I could could have done just 3 times 16 over 4, and 3 times 16, that's 18, that's 4, and I would have had 48 if you don't get this. This would be 48 divided by 4, and what's 48 divided by 4? 12. You would have got 12 anyway. So he bought 12 ounces of walnuts. You see it now? Okay. So how many more ounces of cashews than walnuts? 14 ounces of cashews, 12 ounces of walnuts. How many more? I subtract. You see? Thank you for asking. If you ever have a question, make sure you ask. Okay? If Mrs. Toombs bought 1.5 pounds of pistachios, who bought more nuts? Mr. Paul or Mrs. Toombs? Okay. How many ounces more? So this is this something I can solve in just one step? No. So I might need to do 1.5 pounds and turn that into ounces. Well, first off, if I have 1 pound, what do I know that is? I already know that's 16 ounces. So I know I've already got 16 ounces. If I know that I've got 1/2 of a pound, and I've got 16 ounces, that's half of 16, that's 8. So if I have 16 ounces, it's okay. Sometimes you have to write it out and kind of talk slow to go, oh, if we have 16 ounces and 8 ounces, how much did Miss Toomey buy? 16 and 8.
24.
So she bought 24 ounces. Can we find out how much Mr. Toomey bought?
Yes.
We can too. He bought cashews and walnuts. How much did he buy? 14 and 12. He bought 26 ounces. So who bought more?
Mr. Cashew. Mr. Paul.
Mr. Cashew.
Mr. Paul.
Mr. Paul bought more. So Mr. Paul bought more. It just almost sounds like she bought more because it says 1.5 more, but you kind of have to write the stuff down. You can't just look at it and go, oh, she did. Because this is like 7/8 of a pound, 3/4 of a pound. It's small. It sounds small because it's a fraction, and hers sounds more because it's a mixed fraction. So you need to write the stuff down. Now it says, now this was 2 questions, so I need 2 answers. How many ounces more? He bought 26. She bought 24. How many ounces more? 2 ounces more.
There's something in my eyes.
I'm sorry.
Me too. My
I'm not saying like I'm sorry. I hate it when that happens. A jewelry maker purchased 20 inches of gold chain. She used 3/8 of the chain for a bracelet. How many inches of gold chain did she have left? You cannot solve this with only one step. This is a 2-step problem. 3/8 of 20. So 3 times 20 over 8. You will not do that. 8 cannot go into 20 evenly. Cannot. But what you can do is find a number if you want to do the simplifying. What you can do is find a number that can go into both 8 and 20. And it can be 4 or 2. But 4 can go into 8 2 times. 4 can go into 20. Oh, sorry, I was thinking the 2. 5 times. 3 times 5 is 15 over 2. You don't have to do it that way because you're still going to get the same answer.
I don't know what to do.
So 2 goes into 15 7 times. 7 and 1/2. If you worked it straight across and did 60 over 8, you would have had 7 and 4/8. And you would have had to simplify it, and you still would have had 7 and 1/2. You still would have had the same answer. No matter how you worked it, you would have ended up with 7 1/2. Yeah?
Isn't that what she used?
It is what she used. Because that only answers the question. That doesn't answer what did she have left.
No.
How can we figure out what she had left? Daniel. 20 minus 7 and 1/2. Can I subtract a whole number minus a fraction?
No.
No, I cannot. This goes back to second quarter. I have to. These are the DiGiorno's that I have sitting on my counter. These are 20 uncut pizzas.
Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah, that sounds familiar. It should, because I said it so many times, Laura. If I need a half a pizza, how can I take a half a pizza if none of my pizzas have been cut? Oh, yeah. Does it sound familiar now? Do I need to take one of my pizzas and cut it? So if I take one of my pizzas and I cut it, then I will have 19 whole pizzas and one cut pizza with how many pieces?
2.
I can pick any denominator I want. I have that denominator. Why pick something that doesn't match? Why would I pick 12? I didn't ask for that. You're spouting out 12. I didn't ask for 12. I was talking about denominators. Why are you skipping ahead? 1/2. So this is what I have. 19 and 2/2 is the same thing as 20. These are the same thing. These are equal. 19 and 2/2 is the same thing as 20 whole pizzas. One of them has just been cut. This is from second quarter. Yes, Dante.
Oh, I get it.
But if you simplify 4/8, but even if you left it at 4/8, slice up that pizza into 8 slices. Isn't this the same thing as 20? Isn't the whole pizza still there? I didn't take anything out of it. It's still all there. We just didn't simplify your fraction. I was hoping that you would have noticed that needed to be simplified because I harp on simplifying fractions so much in second quarter. Simplifying fractions does not go away. As I said, 100 million times in second quarter. And even started talking about it this quarter. So, 2 minus 1 is 1. 19 minus 7 is 12. Inches is the answer. 12 and 1/2 is what she has left. Then you didn't do your whole number. What?
I caught it. I redid it.
Bam.
The way that you could check it was 12.
Yeah.